As we're back, Tristin Wurzbach, Alex Sharp. They're going to talk about the business they bought. They bought a garage door business, does repairs and all kinds of other stuff. I met Alex at Kyle Mallion's event. We had gone back and forth. I had looked into doing this business with them, and now they're buying a second garage door business. Tristin already owned businesses. This is Alex's first one into it. Guys, thanks for coming on and tell us about how you got into this business and where you're going with it.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Kevin and Chris, on the show. Been a member for a long time. It's cool to be on the show because we made it. We got the deal. I'm glad to help other people. Listen to our journey and hopefully they find inspiration in it. So yeah, I joined a group. You're talking about Kyle Mallion. So me and Alex were part of his group called Acquisitionpreneur. And when I joined, the main reason I joined was for the connection. You're one relationship away, you're one deal away, and you only need one that could change your life. So when I was on there, I was looking for the relationship, looking for a business partner, or just even for people to talk to about business. Sometimes, you don't have a group of friends immediately around you can talk to about that all the time. So anyways, I was active. You always want to be active in the groups you're in. Don't just always sit in the corner. And I was active. And Alex, who's right next to me on this call, posted something about a deal. And then he posted another thing about a deal. And I was like, okay, this guy's pretty active. So I was like, you know what? Maybe we should message him and just see where it goes. So I messaged him and I said, hey, I have a deal or two under my belt and I'm looking to expand and I want to partner with people. And he said, well, I'm looking to get a deal under my belt. So we linked up through that group. So, an amazing message to get into the groups, get active. You're one relationship away, you're one business partner away from something huge. So we spent a lot of time together looking for deals. You're not going to, you look at 10 deals, probably aren't going to find, the princess or whatever when you kiss all those frogs. But so we went through, I don't know, how much would you say, Alex? Maybe like 100 total deals in full, somewhere around there, give or take, So, and
yeah,
then
we had a long spreadsheet of deals that we were looking through.
Yep. And it'd be kind of like, and then we would have different phases like, okay, here's, we submitted the LOI. Okay, they didn't pan out. Okay, these guys are moving on to the next bracket. And, we weeded it down to a few. There was one where we almost had it and someone swooped in and got it. That could happen to you. But then finally, Alex finds this garage door company located in Orlando, Florida. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, 500,000 cash flow. Purchase price 1.5 million. That's 3 times. Okay, what are the add backs? There's no add backs, Tristin. Wait, what? The tax return says 500,000. It's going for 1.5 million. Yep. I was like, well, we gotta talk to this guy. Anyway, so yeah, we got on that. We locked it down. There was actually a lot of competing offers, but he liked us because we were very cordial on the phone. What we wanted to do with the business. It did help a little bit that I have an automotive background. That guy also had an automotive background. So he said there was one offer a little bit higher, but sometimes it's not always the price. It's, their legacy, what you're going to do with it, how you're going to treat the employees. So I made sure to come across like, no, we're going to take care of all those other things too. So we locked it down and that was a great seller. His name is Abe, but I call him Honest Abe because he's always, like no add backs in the financials. One time I thought I saw an issue with it. He's like, what? I'll get my accountant on it right away. Those things should be clean. Yeah, the P&L should match to the penny of the tax return, but it's just something I overlooked. So yeah, that was a great transition. Got us into the garage door space. We love this particular space because 1, it's boring. 2, it's going to be around as far as I could see, pretty much forever. It's pretty much not recession resistant, I'll say, Amazon proof. And it just been around for a long, long time, going to be around for a long, long time. Those are my favorite. I call them sleepers, when no one's paying attention to. Everyone's just looking
boring
at
businesses.
Boring, yeah. Stocks and Amazon and NVIDIA and how can I, if I invest now or not, and everyone's sleeping on, you'll make way more money and way less risk than investing in stocks or whatever, doing this type of stuff, So, and it was a good sized deal. It came with, about 15 technicians, give or take. Wow. 3 office staff, a GM, that's the way you want to go. If you go too small, then you're going to be working more so in it. And it's harder to kind of get those systems. And I worked in a business for a while and trying to get out of working in it, and you're everyone's hero, and but I want to work with you, or can you save the day? It's hard. So it's more risky to go small too. So anyways, try to go bigger, at least at least big enough to have a general manager in place if you can. You don't always have to, but that's just kind of my my kind of experience there. And so
I got a couple.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I got a couple of questions because I definitely want to dive into y'all's background in just a second. But Alex, how many and Tristin, how many hours did y'all spend in looking at deals, underwriting these deals, talking to the brokers? And then the second question would be, where were y'all really sourcing your deal flow from?
So we definitely spent dozens of hours. I mean, it was probably 2 months before we had a LOI on this garage door company. And in that time, we had so many phone calls. We got on Zoom and FaceTime with each other probably 1, 2, 3 times a week for 6, 7, 8 weeks. We were on the phone for 2, 3, 4 hours, going over just all the sims, all the packets, all the financials from all these businesses. We were on a 2-hour difference in time zone, and Tristin was busy a lot of the time, so sometimes it would be 10, 11 o'clock at night, my time, before he was freed up, and we would be on the phone sometimes until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, just going over deals. And as we were doing that, I was learning a lot too, because I was a lot newer to this than Tristin was. Having a partner, but also a business mentor, I was just soaking in the knowledge every time we talked.
Yeah, I'm sure anybody would. I mean, that's the importance of these masterminds, right? You sit there and you have one hand up and one hand down. Get pulled up, and you're pulling somebody else up with you. I love it. It's some of the most giving people I've ever got around. When you get around winners, get around losers, and they got nothing to give. It doesn't feel that way. When you get around winners.
I want to just comment on that because it's so important. What Tristin was saying in the beginning, he got in the acquisitionpreneur group and he was active, and then he was drawn to another active person. Mm-hmm. Too many people are in these groups. They don't do much of anything. You have to put yourself out there and you have to do it. And then when they saw that garage door thing, you saw Tristin's response when he was like, wait, what's the ad backs? When you see that many of them, when you have hundreds of reps, when you see something, you want to jump on it and jump on the phone call. And then they learned all this and built a relationship. They were learning and building a relationship doing all those calls. Too many guys want to just copy and paste stuff. I mean, I got guys copy and paste me stuff in my messages from BizBuy. Like, what do you want me to do with that? Put the work in. And Tristin, when you were a money guy on this, right? You had a lot of confidence going in because of all these phone calls with Alex.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us kind of, I think that's another very important discussion to be had. What made you trust Alex as an operator?
It's funny is my wife said, hey, you met this guy on the internet. How are you going to trust him? And I went to the acquisitionpreneur group in Phoenix recently, and one of the people called me and goes, hey, I just need help on how do I know who to trust and how to trust them. I think it helps if you spend a lot of time with them. Like me and Alex, we spent months together. We were in the trenches together going through deals, and you get and of course you talk about personal life. They see your kids in the back. Oh, you have kids, and you get to really know them when you spend time kind of working those deals with them. And just, I got to see his work ethic. Like, he kept bringing deals, and he would get, we'd shoot him down, and he kept bringing deals. And so I'm like, okay, his work ethic is good, and just the type of person he was. You get to learn, if they're a good person, they're a bad person. You get to hear the way they talk, their accent, and anything. You can really get to, there's not a lot of people I spend that much time with for, a period of 2 months, besides my wife and kids and in-laws and stuff like that. So I would say just spend the time, go through that struggle together, go through finding deals together. And if you see you guys are consistent with each other, you're going to learn a lot about each other. And so throughout that process, I was able to learn all about Alex and his son and his life story and where he came from. He's in the military and he's from, let him tell his story, but it's pretty cool actually. And so you get to know him that way personally. And then I get to see how he works. We're on the phone together. I see how he talks to people, stuff like that. And the things, we say like, hey, I got you on this deal financially. If it goes south, I'm there. And he's like, hey, I'll move anywhere. I'll do anything to make it happen. So we both see we got our heart into it, And, it's not only what they say, it's how they say it too. Do you do you believe them? And of course, on Alex, I did. And sure enough, this is working out great. So, if I were to summarize all that, I'd say just, you got to spend the time with the person and maybe go through the reps of looking through deals together is a great way to do it. And it's very organic when you do it that way. That's how I did, and it worked out very well.
It's just like dating. It's just like a relationship.
Exactly.
Right? You really don't know until you start spending time. And you better treat your business partner with more due diligence than your spouse, in my opinion, because as soon as you throw money in the mix, things get sideways real quick. So I love that. That was a great answer to that question. And so y'all were sourcing most of your deals from the brokerage websites. That's what y'all were doing all your searching.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool.
Let's talk about your backgrounds. Alex, why don't you go first?
Sure.
Kind of where you were a couple years ago and then how you got here. Just tell us about, because your story is kind of incredible.
Yeah. Alex, start from the very beginning, from where you were born. I like that.
Yeah. So I was born in the Soviet Union. My birth certificate is, Soviet birth certificate. After the Soviet Union collapsed, we immigrated from Kiev, Ukraine. That's where I was born, in the capital. We immigrated from Ukraine to the U.S. when I was 3 years old. We had no money. We had no English, didn't know the culture, didn't know anything. And pretty much my parents started from scratch, working in factory jobs while, one parent, could go to school, and then, vice versa. And, had a pretty, normal middle class, life. We started in a not so nice apartment, got a little better townhouse, then got a, house in the suburbs growing up. When I grew up, I went into the military, into the Marine Corps. I did 4 years in the Marine Corps, did one combat tour in Iraq, one combat tour in Afghanistan. When I got out, did law enforcement as a police officer. After that, ventured, I always wanted to be entrepreneur. I always wanted to, own a business, to work for myself. I just didn't know how. I just didn't know the path. So that took me down a long road of trial and error. But, I was just never satisfied where I was at. I could have gotten a normal job, in a cubicle, in an office, and, just been there for, 20, 30 years. Like my parents, and they did a great job, the best they could, but I was never happy. And I always knew, like, there's got to be something better. Like, I want something different. I tried multi-level marketing companies, sold weight loss shakes and, this and that, and, poured all my money and, into different things that didn't work out, declared bankruptcy in my mid-20s because of that. Just try different things, whether it was, stock market, options, Forex, drop shipping, e-commerce, dog walking, Uber driver, cleaning people's, houses and toilets in my mid-20s just to, survive. At that point, I had a child, and I just had to do anything to, just to survive. And it was hard for a while. Sold cars, did a lot of things. And after a while, I got into real estate. A guy that I knew. He was wholesaling houses. He was flipping houses. I said, "Hey, can you help me? Can you, help me run ads? And, I'll pay for the ads. I'll do what I can." So that really helped me out. We wholesaled a couple houses. I did a flip on my own, made more money from that flip than I ever have from anything in my life. That gave me a lot of confidence. Through real estate, I started networking more, got out of my shell, got into networking groups, went to networking events in real estate, started adding a lot of people on Facebook that were in the real estate world. One of those people was Kyle Mallion. I had no idea that we were even friends on Facebook until I saw a post about buying businesses. And I said, this is what I always wanted. I always wanted to be in the business world, in the investment banking world, in the private equity world. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't think that was possible for me. I knew from the military, I had leadership skills. I could lead a team. From multi-level marketing, I could grow a team, which I did. I had sales skills. I just didn't know how to put it all together. And I just went to this event. And for the first time, it actually panned out. I went to events where I didn't meet anybody, and I spent money, and nothing happened. But I just didn't stop. I didn't quit. I knew there had to be something. One of these groups will work. I just had to keep going and keep talking to people. And sure enough, I went to an event. I was already in 30, 40 grand of credit card debt. I mean, nothing new to me. I had a few thousand left on a credit card. I thought, who cares if it works or not? I mean, I'm used to being in debt, and I've been bankrupt. Who cares? So I spent the last of my money to go to this event, bought a suit. And, I learned about buying businesses. And, I got back home. I remember the first broker and seller I talked to, it was a dog boarding place. And I had no idea what I was talking about. They were asking me questions. They were like, "Do you want to know about the financials? Do you want to know about the P&L?" I didn't know what a P&L was. And I didn't know what a balance sheet, what am I balancing? I don't know. They're like, "Why do you want to buy this company?" I'm like, "Well, I have a dog. I like dogs. I don't know." So it was rough for a few months. I didn't really know what I was doing. And then finally a guy, Tristin, posted in this private Facebook group, introduced himself, said that he owned a few businesses already. He was looking to expand his portfolio, but he didn't really have time because he was so involved in those businesses. And I said, "Hey, I want to be an operator. I'll go anywhere. I don't care what industry is. I'll learn it." He had the business experience and the capital for down payment and the knowledge of how to use the SBA to get loans. And then I was the person that said, I know how to run a team. I was in the military. I will move. If it's not here in Texas, I'll go somewhere else. And I don't care what industry it is, I'll do it. So we really both brought kind of polar things that match with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And from the first conversation, we hit it off and started looking at businesses. And I know it all worked out.
Wow,
Alex,
that's an incredible story.
It's inspiring, and
Yeah.
I don't care when you show I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And you were hungry, man. You were hungry, and Tristin saw it, and you were relentless in that hunger. And dude, wow, good for you. Good for you. And I think anybody listening to this needs to be reminded, if you haven't hit your mark yet, that's what it's about. You just keep pushing, keep searching, and eventually you'll find.
Alex, how long did it take you from when you saw that Kyle Mallion post Kyle Malin puts great posts out, and he's the real deal, guys. I
Yep.
mean, he's helped so many guys buy businesses. The value he gives is just incredible. But Alex, from when you saw that post to when you got this place under contract, let's say the garage, how long you knew nothing to when you actually had a place under contract, the garage door under contract?
It was about 6 months. So I probably saw his post in
I mean,
January of 2022. And then I went to the event the very next month. And, it was June when we
in
had an
Vegas?
LOI. Yes.
Yeah, I was there. I don't know if I spoke with you there. Of course, we did in Nashville. But just think of guys like he was already in debt. I'm not saying to do that, but it's just you could just feel it from him. And I felt it, Alex, when we talked. And I remember you telling me that you were in Texas and that you would move anywhere. But I didn't feel like this guy's desperate, like he's just down to go anywhere. I just felt the energy from him. I remember I got off the phone call with him. Chris, you probably do this. I just know when I'm willing to do business with somebody.
You get the vibe.
That's how I felt when I got off the phone with him. I'm like, he's going to win. You could just feel it because it was nothing like he was just too many guys will say, oh, well, I won't operate it, but I also don't have money. But so what are you doing? Like, you're going to find the deal? Like, you got to figure out which one you are. Are you willing to be there every day? Or are you in Tristan's shoes, which is kind of like I am, where you have experience and maybe you have more money. And that's how you make that connection. Tristin, tell us about your story and how you came up. You got a really interesting story as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So first, I just want to say what a crazy, awesome story from Alex, right? I mean, that's the ultimate American dream right there. You came from our greatest competitor ever, the Soviet Union, to rise up and become a powerhouse in America against all odds. Like, that is the American dream right there. So if Alex could do it, you guys, everyone watching, you could do it. You could do it. It might be scary. Just like Alex, persevere, push through. Don't give up and be active, especially in paid groups. That's been my rocket as well, paid groups. But anyway, so my story. So I started off as a supervisor for Geico Insurance. I would write auto damage claims and, handle a team in the Central Valley of California. And Geico was not so nice to their people then, and probably still now. And one of my adjusters ended up leaving and working for a body shop in the Bay Area of California. And he said, hey, man, this is way better. You get to help the customer instead of, screw over the customer, and the management's way better. And you get to sit on the same side of the table as the customer rather than the opposite side. And I always remember that, same side of the table as the customer rather than the opposite. So I ended up leaving Geico and I went to work for an auto body shop. And so I worked there and I was broke all the records, sales, customer service, everything though. There was two owners. The name of the place is called B2 Perfection because the two owners are Brad and Bill, B2. And but Bill, he had a lot of health issues. He even came in one time with like a machine on his arm that would feed him. And he said, hey, guys, I'm not going to make it too much longer. I need to sell. And he's talking to Brad. And they're looking over, well, okay, let's get a valuation. It's worth X amount of $1 million. And he said, okay, do you want to buy it? And Brad said, yeah, of course, but I can't afford X amount of $1 million. I can't do this. And so then they're talking about, well, what if you pay me over time? They weren't sophisticated in how to do business transactions. What they're talking about there is seller financing. And he's like, okay, here's the payments over this amount of years. He's like, man, I still can't afford to pay you. And so then he turned to me and he said, you know what, Tristin, you're an amazing, or he opened the office door and brought me into their secret office or whatever. And he said, you know what, you're an amazing employee. You're a great guy. I want to keep you around forever. What do you think about buying into the business? And I was like, holy moly, dude, my whole life I looked for that pot of gold. Is it stocks? Is it bonds? Is it, I don't know, becoming a musician, which I can't do, what is it? And I thought, you know what, I think this is it. I think this is that pot of gold, And so I have a little bit of acumen for financials. So I looked at the financials and looked at the business valuation, thought it was very fair, especially because I knew a little bit more about stocks, and stocks trade for like 20, 30 times earnings and businesses trade for 3. Good deal there. So I bought in, we each bought, he bought half of his shares and I bought half of his shares. So we're 75-25. But that led me into a lot of experience of how to run a business, how to do financials, how to do payroll, how to do marketing, because you wear a lot of hats when you're the operator. You're wearing all the hats. You're the chief technology officer, chief marketing officer, chief operations officer, chief executive officer. You're everything. But it's good because now you have a background in all of that stuff. That was a good background to have. Anyways, Bill went on to make a miraculous recovery. He's very healthy now and owns a business with his son, so he had a good story too. But if it wasn't for that window, what a difference of a life I may have had. So from there, I got that down really well. And so in 2019, I thought, you know what? Let me see if I can, scale this thing. I got the systems and the processes. I know how to take care of the people, pay them and everything. And let's see if I can scale it. So I was looking in my local area, all around the Bay Area for a good body shop at the time. I wanted to do my first real, on my own deal to go really well. And I wanted the industry I knew, and I just couldn't find anything. All the good shops weren't for sale and all the bad shops were. And I was like, no. So then I thought, if my system's really as good as I say it is, what if I looked elsewhere in the nation? So I looked all over the nation, and oh my goodness, there's a lot of good deals. And so I just weeded it down to the best one I found. There was a good 5 deals that were just way below market, probably 3 to 2 times earnings, but so much room for improvement. And there's so many. I was like, man, I wish I just cloned myself and get them all. But I just went with the best one I could find because I didn't want my first deal to go south. I went for one in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've never even been to that state in my life. So I closed on that. It's funny because the pandemic's hitting now. I started looking late 2019. Pandemic starting to hit in March 2020. I ended up closing in June 2020. And the whole time I was like, man, I looked at these financials. They could be cut almost in half. And plus I could do all of my changes. This guy is doing payroll by hand. Oh my God, he's not charging for the right stuff on the estimate. He's not doing a whole bunch of things. I was like, I have so much buffer. It has to work. In worst case, if it didn't work, I could afford the debt payment from my other business in that scenario. So I thought, you know what, I'm doing it. And that was the greatest decision. There was parts where I was very scared. There was parts where I was like, man, I wish I didn't do this. I got anxiety, but I pushed through it. Those are just human emotions to keep you alive. And I understand that they interfere with trying to grow, So I pushed through, and it is the greatest decision, aside from, marrying my wife and kids and all that, but business decision, along with saying yes to the first business that I ever did. Got that. Everyone there was like, oh my God, you can bring this system. Oh, wow, we don't have to do this anymore because you're going to automate it. Oh, hallelujah, I can focus on this. And, they loved it. They usually, a lot of these, retirees and stuff, they doing stuff really, really old school. And when you come, you have some fresh ideas and you're willing to do change, especially if you show them like, hey, I'm going to help you with these changes. They're super on board and they love you, And they'll do a lot of things for you. They'll bring you other ideas too. They'll say, hey, can we do this? And now you got their buy-in and you're implementing what they're saying. And it's just everyone's winning, Then that deal went really well. But then I was like, it is a pandemic and it's going well, but let me just wait it out a little bit. Then in 2022, I was like, okay, everything's starting to kind of bounce back for sure now. So then I got 2 more other auto body shops in 2 other different states. Every one of my businesses in a different state. Then I kind of want to diversify a little bit away from auto body shops. And I was also, kind of lonely, no, I can't talk to anyone about business. I was by myself, and I joined my first group, and that was Acquisitionpreneur with Kyle Mallion. And then I met Alex, and, kind of the rest is history. And there's also a cool little story of how Alex got this deal we're about to close on. So every deal I've ever found, by the way, was on Biz Buy Sell, just by chance. But when we closed on this garage door deal, there's a garage door deal down the street in the same niche as us. We're in a particular niche. And Alex one day was like, there's a garage door deal down the street. And I was like, yeah, I know who they are. My mindset, which I'm learning to change a lot, competitor. And he's like, oh, I think I'm just going to talk to them, just see what their struggles are, what we're doing, and just kind of compare and maybe we can help each other. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And so he goes there. And then he messaged me like an hour or 2 later, and he's like, so you won't believe this, but they want to, I talked to them about maybe selling to us, and they want to sell, and they understand, 2-3 times earnings concept, and, the financials are good. They're going to send everything over. So that'll be our first off-market deal. But man, I keep hearing a theme lately of, stop thinking of people and things as competitors, start thinking of them as, like Chris Garrison said, one hand up, one hand down, help pull people up, and just coming together. Because I was not expecting that. You'll never know where it'll lead, with that correct mindset there and everything. So that's our current deal we're about to close on. So it'll be my first off market deal, which is pretty cool. So
what have you learned? Give me your buy box at this point, having purchased this many businesses in multiple states, because I think you've got a lot of wisdom that should be shared on being able to own businesses in multiple states at this point.
Sure. Yeah. What I would say is you want redundancy in the roles. Let's say I have a business and there's only like 5 employees, and one of them does a critical part of the job. What happens if they need to take a vacation? What happens if they get sick? What happens if they leave? So you want an employee count that's high enough to where there's at least one level of redundancy where 2 people can do that job. And it's typically around 10 employees. It also happens to be around about $1 million or more in sales is usually kind of a minimum there. You want them around for about 10 years. You can go less if it makes sense and everything and whatnot. Let's see. You want a profit margin to be able to withstand interest rate hikes, we'll say, and appropriate price as well. No business is worth an infinite price. Going back to the profit margin part of it, I would say maybe as low as, if I can really improve it, I'll go as low as 10 if I see a lot of improvements. But I would say 15 to 25 is usually a sweet spot. If I start seeing 30, 40, I'm like, I don't think that's this profitable, but I got financials. Yeah. And I look and I see, okay, it's not, so I usually say 15 to 25 is, a reasonable sweet spot. So if I were to recap, let's see, $1 million or more in sales, preferably around 20% profit margins, around 10 employees, been around for at least around 10 years. And of course, there's some exceptions to all of these. Redundancy in the role, so everyone has someone who could fill in for them. I think that's it off the top of my head. Yeah. So, and an industry that I could either understand or learn to understand. That's another important role. If I was, in the industry of medical and all of the HIPAA and all this and all that, I don't think I could do it. But I can, like me and Alex here, when we went to the garage door, we didn't know anything about garage doors, but it's in the industry I can understand or come to understand, or how it works and stuff like that. So I would say that's my buy box right there.
That's the redundancy is a really good one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause
you don't have redundancy, and it's specialized skilled. You can become reliant on one person. You're in trouble.
Exactly. Yep. That's what kept me up at night. Cause one of the body shop deals, the first one, actually, there was one primary technician at first. And there was 2. And then 6 months into it, one guy was thinking about leaving, but then we ended up saving him. But that kept me up at like, oh my God, I'd be down to one guy. Oh my God, what if he leaves? Oh man, now I'm sunk. So you want that redundancy there for sure. Yep.
And that's the reason why we don't buy small businesses, because when you buy a small business or start a small business, there is no redundancy. And the person with all those specialized skills is you. That's why you can't leave. You just own a job and don't have a business. So you guys got this business. Tell us how it went from you get it under contract and you start. Alex, I know you moved down to Orlando, right?
Yes. So yeah, Orlando.
And then what did you do? How long did the owner stay on? How did you learn that business? And what's the model of the business? Tell us about how it works.
Yeah, so I was in Texas and moved down to Florida to run the company. And, it was difficult because I was sharing custody with my son. And that was a choice I had to make at the time to, let his mother have the primary custody, which, he is my world. And, but he and I both knew, this was a once in a lifetime chance. And, if I didn't do this, I would still be, close to poverty level. So, just made the decision, moved down to Florida, to run the business. And, we closed in October. The owner or the former owner, he still lives in Orlando, but he was pretty much, out of the picture after we closed. We did, and we still do have access to him, calling and texting.
Mhm.
And at first, he came in maybe once a week to drop off some checks that were still being delivered to him. But we took it over pretty quickly. And what was the next question? Just the process.
Yeah, like how does the business work? Because I know you have a
Yeah.
similar model that I do. You use subcontractors. What's
Yeah.
your service, and then who services them, and how do you manage that and grow it?
Yeah. So we work mostly with the home warranty companies. So, homeowners that have a warranty on their home that usually covers like their heating and cooling, their HVAC, maybe their plumbing, maybe their appliances, and then their garage door. Um, we do have some original calls that come in from just, organically, but the majority of it is we partner with all the major home warranty companies. And yeah, we do kind of subcontract. So 1099
No
technicians.
employees.
No, just the office staff as of now. We might move the technicians over to W-2 in the future. As of now, they're 1099 employees or independent contractors. So,
But
pretty
you're
much
doing this work outside of just Orlando as well, right?
correct. So just the main office is in Orlando. There's a few people in the office that do all the dispatching of the calls, handle all the customer service calls that come in, whether it's from customers, whether it's the warranty companies that call in, whether it's the technicians that have questions. So that's like the central hub. But we hire, all over. So the first company is we're in 12 states. We have technicians in 12 states. So pretty much when we need to, hire someone new, we'll get with the warranty company. They'll say, hey, we have a lot of call volume in this state or this, region. You guys are one of our, best vendors, most trusted vendors. Do you guys want this area? So, if so, we say yes. We'll put an ad out. We'll do some phone calls with applicants. We'll hire someone. We'll typically fly them out to one of our master technicians, whether that's our master tech in Kentucky, in Atlanta, in Mississippi, in Florida. But we'll fly them out. We'll put them in a hotel for 1 or 2 weeks, depending on their experience. And they'll just, start running the calls with that master tech and learning hands-on.
So tell me how that works. So you have a sub in, say, Atlanta. You have a guy who's been working with you. He knows the ins and outs of our garage. You now take a new applicant, fly him out there. He stays in Atlanta, and he drives in the truck with him for 2 weeks and
Yep.
and basically learns everything about garage doors. So here's a question: is how does the guy make money who's out there? Is he just on? Is he getting paid training? And then how do you incentivize the guy in Atlanta to do that?
So as far as the trainer, we pay them. At times it's been, it depends on if that new person has experience or not. So maybe if they're, already worked for a garage door company for several years, maybe they only need 1 week of training. If they have no experience at all, it's typically 2 weeks of training. But for the trainer, we'll pay them whether it's $1,000, $2,000 for that week or 2 weeks. Kind of trainer pay on top of their,
Yeah.
it's like a bonus. And then for that new person, we're paying for their flight. We're putting them, in a decent, 3-star hotel, right next to that master tech. And then we pay them $100 per day per diem, Monday through Friday for basically, going out in that master tech's truck with him and running all his calls and, at first watching. And then as they get more comfortable, they can start putting their hands on the doors and the parts and getting that experience.
So So you can go into a new market. Basically, the acquisition cost to get a guy up and running might be under $5,000. Hotel, paying them, trade, paying the trainer. I mean, this is what I do. I love it, right? And then you have a guy that has some experience and he's asked a bunch of questions. How do you know you have enough work for that guy? So say it's going to be in Nashville and you got a guy from Nashville goes to Atlanta. How do you then, you just invested $5,000 essentially in him to get him going. How much volume can that guy expect? And then he has his own truck and everything?
Yeah. So the technicians, they do use their own trucks. They're responsible for that. They use their own gas. They use their own tools. We do send them out like company merchandise, like T-shirts, car magnets, stickers to put on the garage doors, things like that, like promotional merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a brand new market, it could be a slow start at first, just getting it going, because we have to build up a number of like 5-star customer reviews. We have to build up, because the warranty companies won't just give you all the work. They want to see that
You're doing well.
Yeah, that you're doing well.
So you have multiple warranty companies?
Yes. So like, First American, American Home Shield, Old Republic, Choice Home Warranty, all those big names. It could be a slow start at first, but we do reach out to the warranty companies, the different ones, and we say, hey, what is the call volume annually in this city or, in this region? One might say, we do need you here and we get, 500 calls a year. We'll call the next one. They say, oh, we don't really need you here. We'll call the other one and they'll say, oh, we only get 100 calls a year.
So that's the research. You do that for the data before you even place that ad.
Right.
So you have an idea. Okay.
Yeah, before we accept being in that market.
And then how do you follow up on to make sure that guy's doing a good job? Is it reviews? Is he sending pictures in? How do you kind of quality control jobs when you're so far away?
Well, that's one thing is, the job performance will speak for itself through the reviews. So every customer, they have the opportunity to, review us through, say, Google reviews. They also get surveys from their home warranty company, and they can give us anywhere from a 1 to a 5 stars. So we can really see pretty quickly, is that technician, getting good reviews, bad reviews, no reviews, and the person, the master technician that trained them, is also pretty much responsible for following up on a continual basis, whether it's daily, weekly, on their mechanical and technical skills and knowledge, and their sales knowledge and skills, and following up. And the office manager will follow up with that technician, the master tech, and on the new person's, hey, how are they doing? Are we getting any complaints? Are they, how are they performing?
Go ahead, Chris.
Are y'all doing any additional marketing outside of the home warranty companies?
Right now we just started it. So for the whole history of the company, we've basically been getting paid to take leads, which is, very unique in business. Usually you have to spend a lot of money on marketing to get leads. Mm-hmm. And one thing we loved about this niche in this industry is that it's like, wait, all the business, we're actually getting paid to take leads, because the warranty companies, they pay you a service fee, to show up and do the basic diagnosis on the door to see what's wrong. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, whatever repairs are needed. So, that was great. But at a certain point, it's going to be capped, because, not everybody in America has a home warranty. Probably most people don't, unless it's like a new build, or unless people renew their, warranty, which probably most people don't. So there's a huge market that we didn't capture yet. And we just started working with the marketing company, doing Google PPC.
Mm-hmm.
So we have those ads are probably going to go active, whether it's yesterday, today, tomorrow, but we're right there. We just had to get a few things done for Google, and we'll be off to the races for paid marketing.
I got a question. Have you ever hired in a new market and you just hire one guy, right? One tech, and then he just didn't do a good job?
Yeah, that's happened multiple times. So
Yeah.
that has happened multiple times where we hire someone. It's happened before where he didn't get enough work for long enough to where he said, I can't make money, and he quit. It's happened before where he was getting plenty of work, but he wasn't selling anything. He was just doing the bare minimum to collect the service fee. There's been, a time where, it didn't work out for multiple reasons, and we did take a small loss on the training pay and maybe even the startup inventory.
How do you do? What do you do if you sign a guy up and he doesn't work out? Do you then go try to get another guy quickly, or do you tell those warranty companies, "Hey, we're putting a freeze on this area for a few weeks"? How do you go about that so they're not flooding you with work?
We've done both. So in one region, there was a technician who was responsible for about three, areas in about 3 states that touched each other. But I mean, he was going several hours each day, and it didn't work out. And we had a time period where we just couldn't find another person that was qualified. So we had to call the warranty companies and say, hey, we don't want to turn this area off. Can we put it on hold? So they allowed us to do that until we found somebody new. And a couple other, in one state, we had someone, but there wasn't enough work. So they quit, and we just said, look, there's just no jobs here. You can shut it down. And then there was another area where the person didn't work out, and we quickly found somebody else because the call volume was so much, and there was so much opportunity to make sales and money. So we've had experiences in all of those where we had to pause it, where we had to shut it down, and we found somebody new quickly because there's a lot of work.
You guys, we have a very similar business model. We should definitely do a talk and brainstorm on some things.
I've got a question that probably everybody else is wondering. How are you finding this help and vetting them before you decide to make that investment on the travel and training?
On the new technicians?
On the new technicians, yeah.
So whether it's myself or the office manager, we'll run through the ad. We'll start calling people. We'll go through their resume. We'll have a phone conversation with them. If everything sounds good, we'll push that person over to the master technician that would be training them to do a follow-up interview. If they say, yes, this person checks out, we want to do a background check, since they're going into people's homes, and want to make sure that they're, everything is safe. So we kind of do that, first interview, second interview, run the background check, and, ask them like, hey, do you have a pickup truck? Do you have something, do you have tools? Do you have a background, in sales? It's kind of looking at multiple factors. Are
these typically W-2? So you're kind of like, if you were hiring for someone in your brick and mortar locally, you're throwing ads out like that, and are you seeing that you're picking up W-2 guys, or is it kind of handymen that say, hey, I'd rather niche down instead of being the guy that fixes the garbage disposal, the sheetrock repair, and whatnot?
Yeah, who's your avatar?
It's really, we've had a lot of different guys because, one of our top sales guys is in his mid to late 40s, and he's had a background, a lot of different things. And then one of our best sales guys is barely old enough to drink.
So,
But, we're looking for, people who are preferably have some kind of background with something mechanical, some sales skills or some sales background, or just a feeling in their voice that they're excited. If on the interview they don't sound excited, they don't sound enthusiastic at all, they're like, "Hey, what's up? Sure." It's like, if that's your best first impression, I mean, how are you going to be in front of the customer, at their home?
Yeah.
yeah. Another question is, these people, when you talk to them, they already kind of need a truck, right? They're not going to go and invest and buy a truck. Or
Yeah,
are they?
it's pretty much a deal breaker. That's one of the first questions I'll ask is do you have like a pickup truck or a large SUV?
But like a great person for this is a handyman, right? They're kind of they're mechanically inclined. They have a truck. They're probably not super busy. They need to fill in. I think those guys could do well. Do these guys, do they ask you, "Hey, you're going to keep me busy, right?" Like when I have people tell me that, I always have this line. I say, "I'm not your employer. I'm going to be your best customer. If you do a great job, I'm going to be your best customer you ever had. But I'm not the guy that's trying to fill your schedule up, but you're going to get a ton of work from me." And they go, "Yeah, I get it," like that. Because I don't want guys who are like waiting for me to hand them every minute. I like guys who have their own stuff going on. And then I'm just their best customer.
It's kind of the opposite with us, I would say. I want that person to be fully committed to our garage door company.
Because they're going to have so much.
If I see that, in the resume, it shows, they have a LLC or they're, have their little side business. Oh, I'm a contractor on the side. I'm a handyman on the side. I have my own garage door business on the side. It's usually a deal breaker just because I don't want that person coming in and then just, learning how everything works for 2 weeks and then just leaving and then trying to set their own stuff up with the warranties. I want someone who's, ready, who's hungry, who's committed, and, who's going to wake up, waiting for their schedule to be filled by us so that they're fully committed, because I will fill their schedule up with calls.
Okay, that makes sense. The other thing is the trainer. What do they have? Are they incentivized for this person to do well? Because I'm sure that they call him, right?
Yeah, sometimes they are. For example, let's say our master technician who lives in Atlanta, he has a few guys who he's their regional manager. So there's a couple guys in South Carolina, one in North Carolina, and he's their manager. So he's responsible for, basically if they call in, if they're sick, if they can't do their jobs, then he has to cover their work. So he has to drive to their state and do it. He has to follow up on their sales training, making sure that they're, getting good 5-star reviews. And in return, he gets 10% of all their commissions, not out of their portion of commissions, but out of the company.
I like that. Yeah, that's incentivizing. See, the other part of this is it's not only a guy who has to be able to do the work, he has to have sales skills too.
Right.
Whereas they have to go out and talk to people.
These guys are, I like to say, you're not a technician who happens to do sales. You're a salesperson that happens to fix garage doors.
No.
Because, we do have several technicians that make 6 figures. We have 1 or 2 technicians that make over 200,000 a year.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity for these guys to make an income that's in the top, several percent of the country if they work hard. And, I always tell them, never lie, never cheat, like never tell a customer something that's not true. You always want to fix what needs to be fixed. But if you see something else that could be, switched out, repaired in an honest, way with integrity, sure, nothing wrong with suggesting something and making a sale.
I've got two financial questions for you guys, and if you have to skip them, then no hard feelings there. But Tristin, on yours and Alex's split as partners, how is that split up in percentages, and why did y'all come to that understanding?
And
Tristin might have
and
got
Alex, you take a salary as well.
Yeah, so everything is we're 50-50 on everything on this garage door business.
Mhm.
On this one, on the one we're about to close, and the ones going forward, we're 50-50 partners on everything. I think it's just
And then Alex, you're the operator, where Tristin, you're not doing day-to-day stuff, right? You're just doing calls, texts with Alex. So Alex, do you take like a salary in addition?
so we do everything equally. Our monthly distributions are
Okay.
equal, and Tristan's pretty involved, as far as the payroll, the accounting.
You're handling all that stuff. That's right.
Certain systems and processes like our CRM. He's pretty involved in the company chats, and then I'm there. Any any technician concerns, issues with the staff, with customers, opening up areas, growing sales, marketing, looking at new avenues. Like I'm there, every day, whether it's physically in the office or when I'm with my son.
Quick question on the warranty. So when a warranty company calls you, they go out and they fix whatever's on the warranty, and the warranty company covers that. What's the upsell? They're trying to say, hey, you also have this issue. This spring on your other one's about to go. And
Right.
they add on. That's how they're doing it.
Right. So, for example, maybe the technician goes out there and the diagnosis is, your opener is not working. It's failing. And maybe their policy covers the opener, but maybe it's not. Maybe their opener broke because of a spring issue or a door balancing issue. So maybe their home warranty will cover the opener, but they won't cover the springs or the door balancing. So then, that's where the technician can say, hey, your company, your warranty is covering, for example, the opener, but, they're not covering the springs, and if you don't change your springs, then your opener is going to break again. So that's an out-of-pocket cost.
I love the model. So I had my garage door came down and hit my wife's SUV, right? You can imagine that wasn't good. I was pissed off. And then you can't get out the garage. So I called the garage door company. The guy comes out. He was a young guy, like 24. And he was really good explaining everything. And then I have my car in the next garage and so on, and another one. And then he's like, yeah, your cars are going to look like this probably in like 4 months, because this is about 4 months ahead. It was a really good sales pitch. I was talking to him and everything. So I said, hey, listen, I'm going to do everything today, but I want to ask you some questions. So I started asking him about how he gets paid. He was telling me how much money he said he's going to make $162,000 that year. He was on pace. I don't think people understand, like, you can be a blue collar guy, but you're really a salesperson who does, that's what it is. That's the difference. If you think you're a guy who just fixes stuff, and I don't want to talk to anyone, I don't like talking to anyone, Kev, you're going to tap out at like $25 an hour. If you're okay talking to people and learning that skill, this guy's 24, he's going to make 160 grand.
insane.
Yeah, and I know you guys follow Tommy Mello, right? You maybe even went out. Tommy Mello hires techs. All these guys are making a ton of money. It's because they're sales guys. They're not techs. They're sales guys who do the work. I love that line you gave. That's your go-to. That's a great line.
Man, this was awesome. I want to know how we can help you guys. I mean, what markets are you looking to get into? We've got a community here that's constantly looking.
Yeah.
Might be able to bring you a deal. Maybe we've got people that want to become a technician and make 6 figures with y'all. Let's see what kind of help we can get you guys, because y'all, man, there was a lot of stuff that we could have unpacked in this conversation.
Can you guys, because you're going to buy another company, right? And can you guys send us the link? I'll post it up. Anybody maybe we can find some future texts for you. It's win-win. I mean, if I was listening to this and I was another, I was a young guy coming up, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds good.
Dude, I was in my 30s before I was making 6 figures.
I know.
24.
One of our master technicians, he's 22 years old, and he'd been with the company for a couple of years. I think last year he made 160,000, and from that he saved 60 or 70 grand. So it's possible.
Yeah, it's life changing. I got guys I have subs I got one in North Carolina. He did 187 last year. I mean, he bought a home and then he bought an investment home.
That's awesome.
From he wasn't doing well before he started. But you can be entrepreneurial and not have a company. You could do this.
Yeah.
This is like a great way. Hey, I don't really know payroll. I don't have the credit. I don't know SBAs. I don't want to buy a business, but I want to make over 6 figures, kind of control my thing. I know how to talk to people. I'm down to learn. That's very entrepreneurial too. You don't have to be, this is a much better opportunity, what we're talking about, what you have, than, hey, I'm just going to go start a gutter cleaning business and figure it all out, because that guy's not going to make 100 grand. He's not.
Yeah. And you're going to learn
one day, but he won't be making it for a few years. That's for sure. Where you can step in here, learn all this stuff, and different people have different personalities. A lot of people don't want to be doing payroll and taxes at night. I get it. And this is a great opportunity. So guys, I really appreciate you guys coming on.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us. It was great.
Yeah, this is a great talk that we had here. I hope everyone who's listening got a lot of value out of it. A lot of golden nuggets in here. A lot of them.
And then Tristin, you buying another place in another business with Ryan Blair, right? In landscaping.
More of like a consulting for equity type thing.
Okay.
I'm a very, very small minority owner, because he also just wanted to be shown the process, and then help him once he does close, help him get it, going. And he definitely, we want to talk to you again, like we did last time. You had so many good ideas I wrote down, but it's just good to, hey, here's the particulars of this one. Now, would you still do the same thing type stuff? So we'll be you as a mentor again. So yeah,
I'll reach out to both with you about that, Tristin. And then you, me, and Alex, I'd love to kind of brainstorm, because we're hiring the same type of people that we can help each other out.
Yeah.
And I just think it's incredible what you guys have done, and keep growing it. And you guys, if you're in these communities, if you don't have much money, you need to reach out to people like Tristin. Mm-hmm. And then guys who are operators, you need to follow the path that Alex did. This is how, look at this, in 1 year, 6 months, he got all this going.
It's an incredible pace.
Incredible.
So if y'all don't mind, Alex, Tristin, in the comments when this closes, you'll see it on the Facebook feed and Blue Collar Millionaire. Throw what states you're looking for. Throw your contact information so people can reach out to you, because I guarantee you there's some people that's looking that'll help on either or of the sides that y'all have a desire to grow in, whether it's the technician or the acquisition phase. And we want to throw some help out there, because y'all are some winners, and we've got other winners in this group, and let's win with winners kind of thing.
And Tristin, what we talked about at Mark Evans' event, when I asked that question, I want to talk to Mark about that. We can include Blue Collar Millionaire, but what the question was, there's guys we were all at this Dealmaker event. There's hundreds of guys in there. There's some guys who have a lot of money, have more money than time. Okay, I'm one of those guys right now. But then there's guys with more time than money. And we want to connect the right people and have a platform where you can go and say, hey, I have this deal, but I'm not liquid. I don't have the money. And then another guy can say, we want to create more win-wins like this.
That's it.
And we're really, Chris and I always talk about that. So we're going to talk to Mark about that and really start bringing a community together. So this gives everybody opportunity to do big things.
Oh yeah.
This is not a 10-year, 5-year process.
No.
1 year.
Yeah, exactly.
It's July, what, 10th right now? Like, you can own a business next July 10th and be operating it 100%.
Oh yeah, pretty easy. Like you heard Alex's story. Yeah, 6 months from when he got that Facebook ad all the way until, you know, he was on the deal. 6 months, you know, so a year
Already
is
in the
very
weeds and
conservative.
making money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
if you don't do it in a year, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
Only-
you're dragging your
only-
feet for sure.
You're dragging ass.
Only
Yeah,
takes,
but yeah, if
you
you
know,
could get that platform, oh man, that would elevate so many people.
Let's talk
So
about it.
many people. Everyone who wants to, who's making whatever 30, 40, 50 grand a year is trying to get up, you know, to the 80, 90, 100, be a part of something
Boom.
bigger. Investors who need to deploy capital, baby boomers who need to retire, banks who need to lend. Everybody's taken care of. We can get a platform like that. That would be like
Super
a
valuable.
superpower. Oh man, I'll be all over that. Yeah, I'll help you in every way, shape,
You'll
and
be
form.
all in that group.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'll help you in every way, shape, and form. You guys can come with that. I'll support you in every faucet I physically can. So that'd be super powerful. I don't know anyone who has a platform like that.
I know, they
anywhere,
don't.
ever. So that's a huge void in the market that if could be filled. Ooh, watch out.
Let's do it, man. Man,
Yeah.
thank y'all for your time.
Thank
Again,
you.
Guys.
I look forward to seeing y'all success over the next 12 months. It's just
Thank you.
encouraging. So, Blue Collar Millionaires, appreciate y'all tuning in. If y'all have got questions, reach out to Alex and Tristin, and they'll put their contact in the comments underneath the video.
All right, guys.
Thank you guys for
Awesome.
having
Thanks
us
for
again. You
having
guys are great. So I've been a member a long time, and it's good to be on the show and help promote what you guys are doing everywhere I go. So excellent job, guys. Keep
I
it up.
appreciate it, guys.
Helping lots of people.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.